everyone. Today we are going to be talking a little bit about health and fitness during quarantine, and some of the things can also be applied outside of quarantine as well. But I just wanted to talk about this today because this has definitely been going on longer than any of us could have anticipated. And I know some general questions have been coming up again as people are going through this. So if you have any specific questions for me or want to talk more about it, my email address is going to be in the video description below. So please feel free to reach out to me with any further questions or just want to talk about it. And we can definitely go from there. So before we get into any of the fitness or nutrition aspects of this, I just first want to address a couple things. So the main one is that no one could have seen this coming months ago. No one could have predicted this. I don't think any of us anticipated that this would go on as long as it has been. So it's just really important to give yourself grace. I think we can all agree that we are taking this day by day, that even after weeks, we don't have it perfectly figured out. I know for myself personally, one day it seems like everything's great, like I have it figured out. I think I finally got it. And then the next day, it's just inexplicably not going as well. And that could be for a number of reasons. So we can't beat ourselves up over this. Like I said, no one could have seen this coming. It's not going to be a perfect transition. It's not going to go smoothly. I don't think anyone has the secret to it. If you do, please email me because I have more questions. So it's just really important to keep in mind that this is a tough time. Take it day by day. Give yourself some grace through those hard days, those tough days, and we'll get through it. But just, keep in mind that it's important to give yourself a break and don't beat yourself up over too much. And then the second thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is that quarantine is not going to erase all progress. Again, this has gone on longer than anyone probably originally thought. A lot of us might be kind of figuring out new routines with working out at home, having limited equipment, maybe no equipment at all. So people are trying to tweak their usual workouts and what they did before. A lot of outside activities outside of the gym have been canceled as well. So if people played sports and things like that, we're kind of losing our usual amount of activity and fitness. So I know a lot of people are worried how that's going to impact their goals long term, their current progress, if they've been making a lot of progress before that. I know that this can definitely be a frustrating time because we can't be in our usual routines and what we're used to, and people are worried that they might be losing that progress. And so I just want to address the fact that yes, this can definitely be a time where you feel a little stagnant with your fitness, that you may not be doing as much. But muscle memory is a real thing, just like the old saying that you don't forget how to ride a bike. That can also be applied in situations like this as well. So if you were really active before this, whether that be working out at the gym, taking classes, sports, whatever activities that you liked to do before this, even if we're not able to do the same extent as what we were doing before, when we can kind of get back to that, incorporate that more, our bodies are going to remember that. And that, if we lost some muscle mass, that'll come back a lot faster than the first time around. If you had a certain aerobic level of fitness, that will definitely come back faster as well. So even if we do lose a little bit of progress, or maybe we kind of stall and don't really see much change during quarantine, like I said, that's still going to come back a lot faster than the first time around. So all hope is not lost. We can still keep that progress, but just might change a little bit over time. With that being said, there are a few things that we can do to help our bodies out during this transition. Like I said, it's not going to go smoothly, but we can definitely try to control a couple things as much as we can that can kind of have a positive effect on our bodies and us just mentally. Humans are definitely creatures of habits, so if you can stick to your usual routine as closely as you can, that's really going to help you get a little bit of your semblance of normal. Try to wake up at the same time, go to bed at the same time, whenever you eat your meals. If you're able to work out, try to kind of stick to, whether that's first thing in the morning or mid-morning, afternoon, evening. Just really try to stick to your usual routine as closely as you can. I realize that that may not be possible for everybody. I know a lot of people have been adapting with work from home schedules or their kids' schooling. So that really may not be possible, but wherever you can kind of create a little pocket of routine throughout the week, try to do that, because that's really going to make a difference. I know it may not seem like much, but if we can really kind of get used to a routine, that'll just kind of help us out mentally. And then with all of that being said, I know a lot of people, since we are at home more, they want to try out new extreme, like that might be a fitness routine, a nutrition routine, but really and truly, now is not the time to start anything completely new. And the reason that I caution people with that is, so we are in quarantine right now. We do have a lot of extra time on our hands, but we don't want to use that to start a routine now, because now is not our realistic schedule. Whenever someone comes to me looking for a fitness routine advice, I always kind of stress that whatever you yourself can manage, and that's going to look different for everybody because everyone has a different schedule. So yeah, now in quarantine, you might have time to work out an hour every day, but outside of quarantine, that may not be realistic. You might only have time to work out 2 or 3 times a week. So try to do what you can manage now. And that kind of goes back to not deviating too much from your usual routine. So however often you would work out before, I would say stick with that now. There's no need to really overcompensate with working out with quarantine. And then same thing goes as we kind of transition back out of quarantine, sticking with that same routine. So if you haven't really been super active before and you want to dive headfirst into something now, I just caution you, try to build it based off of your routine outside of quarantine. I know that even once we get out of this, we probably won't be anywhere near to our normal schedule before, but still try to think realistically what you could handle once we were out of quarantine, kind of back to a more normal schedule. Because the goal with any of this, I know as cliche as it sounds, it truly is a lifestyle change. So if you can start with maintainable habits now that you can incorporate in your daily life, be consistent with over time, that's gonna set you up for success. You don't want to go into something that you really can't maintain right now over the course of several years, or ideally the rest of your life. And so if you are kind of going in and out, up and down, and not staying consistent, you're really setting yourself up for failure, because consistency is going to be your best friend in terms of seeing those long-term maintainable results. So with quarantine, again, try not to dive headfirst into anything too new or crazy extreme. Try to stick to kind of your typical schedule with working out. You can definitely feel free to experiment with different workouts and styles. Now can definitely be a time where if you were curious about certain workouts, a lot of places are doing classes, sessions. YouTube is a great resource for a lot of different types of classes and styles of workouts. So you can definitely use this time to browse around, expand your horizons if you'd like. Or if you are new, try to figure out what you might enjoy. Trying to find that niche of your interest, because ideally that's what's going to keep you going if you enjoy what you are doing. I think that's a big secret that a lot of people, when they see active people, they want to know what keeps them going. And the truth is, they've just found something that they love to do. So you can definitely use this time to play around, see some things that you may not have thought before that you might enjoy. An example like that with myself, I've always tried to get into yoga. I've never been a big fan. Probably shouldn't really say that. But it's something that I've always wanted to get into, because I know that it can help complement my running, mobility, and stretching and everything. So I've always tried to get into it. And so now that I have the extra time in quarantine, again, I'm not going crazy with it, but I find like a 15 or 20 minute video once or twice a week, just kind of trying out different styles of it, see what I might like best. There's a ton of different versions of yoga. So seeing what fits, my style best, just playing around with that. And then that's something that I can definitely maintain outside of quarantine. It's just a couple times a week, not that long, 20 minutes tops. Can you hear me talking myself into this? But that is a habit that I can definitely maintain. And even if it's something that you try out and you don't like, you don't have to keep up with it outside of quarantine. So you can definitely feel free to experiment, try out different things. But again, you don't want to commit to anything that would be outside the norm that you couldn't handle once we slowly transition out of quarantine. And so with the at-home workouts, I know a lot of people have also just expressed some frustration that maybe they don't have as much. The thing with at-home workouts is really and truly, you don't need too much to get a good workout. I know a lot of us have had to get creative with what we might have. I have seen people use laundry detergent bottles, water bottles, soup cans, a bag of flour. I know it sounds kind of weird to work out with a bag of flour, but we're on day whatever of quarantine at this point. I think we've kind of seen it all. Anything that's gonna add resistance. I've seen fun, like mom workouts with their babies. I mean, have you tried carrying a baby around for a while? Like, they're heavy. So anything that can really get some resistance in the workout. Get creative and things like that. It doesn't have to take a lot for that workout. And then the other thing that I also just want to address is if you are stressed about fitting in your workout, if it is too much, don't sweat it. Literally, like I said before, this has been a big adjustment. It's not going to erase all of our progress. We might kind of be stalled for a little bit. We might see some changes, but the main thing is we are home right now, not to have extra time to work out, but to stay healthy and to stay safe. And if that's too much for you, if you have too much going on, or just, even for mental reasons, this has definitely been affecting people, their mood and mental health. So if it's just something that's too much of a stressor for you right now, then just put it on the back burner. Really and truly, it's not going to be the end of the world. Like I said, the goal of quarantine is to come out of this healthy and safe, not to have tried out a million different fitness routines and come out super fit than we did before quarantine. That's not the goal. So if your main focus is keeping yourself healthy and your family healthy and staying home safe, then that is perfectly acceptable to just skip the workout. You don't have to justify it to yourself or anybody else. You don't need to feel guilty about it. Just do what you need to do for yourself right now. And that may not be working out. And then kind of addressing some of the nutrition aspects as well. So tying it back to the fitness one, again, now is not the time to start anything new or extreme. I've definitely been taking the extra time to play around with different recipes. I like to bake and cook, so that's been fun, outlet for me. And I found some great recipes that I'll probably want to keep up with after quarantine, but I know realistically every day I can't take that much time to prepare my dinner or snacks or whatever. Something that I do outside of quarantine is meal prep, and it is honestly a lifesaver for me. When my schedule gets kind of busy or all over the place, I like to do bigger batches of food. So usually that's my protein and some kind of vegetable. So what I'll do on a Sunday afternoon when I have a big chunk of time is that's when I'll do my meal prepping, and that's something that I've kept up with in quarantine as well. I don't need to meal prep quite as extensively as I did before, but still I'll get a batch of chicken or fish, I'll marinate that, and I like to bake it or grill it just to have that on hand. And it's great to throw on a salad for lunch or mix in with pasta or rice for dinner. Just having things like that on hand. And same thing with the vegetables. I love sweet potatoes, carrots, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, really any vegetable. So kind of what I'll do when I'm at the grocery store, whatever I'm in the mood for that week, I'll grab, and then I will roast that in batches. And then same thing, I kind of have that portioned off, and I can easily throw that into a lunch or a dinner throughout the week. And that just saves me some time, like I said, when my schedule gets really busy. So that's something that I tell people, if you're able to do that, keeping those healthy foods on hand helps keep you on track on the long run. You're less likely to, get a snack from the vending machine, order takeout or fast food, because it makes my meals really easy. I'll kind of portion out my lunches for the week, and then I can literally just grab it as I'm heading out the door. I'll do the same thing for my snacks, and it kind of varies. I love a lot of different things that can be from Greek yogurts to fruits and mixing things in. But again, I'll kind of prepare those ahead of time, and then I just have all of that set out for the week. So if you're able to do that, just if you have a small window of a couple hours each week where you can just prep some of your food, that'll help keep you on track, because like I said, you have that on hand and you can just grab it and go. I know that's not possible for everyone, but it's just definitely something that I recommend. If you're able to do, that can help you stay on track with your nutrition if you are dieting, or just in general kind of just want to make sure that you're eating well-balanced meals. If you can prepare those ahead of time, it's really going to save you a lot of time. And then kind of going into picking a diet that works for you. There is a lot of information out on the internet right now that is both a good thing and a bad thing, because you'll see a lot of different types of diets, programs, people advocating, one of their products. It might be a company that's trying to sell something. And what I always tell people, and they never like to hear this, but you want to pick a plan that is going to make you do most of the work. And the reason that I say this is kind of going back to with the fitness, it's really a lifestyle change. So the goal of any diet is that it's short term, right? No one goes into a diet being like, I'm going to do this for 20 years. The goal is to eventually not be dieting. And the reason that I say that you want to pick a plan that works, that makes you do most of the work, is because that's going to give you the tools that you're going to need long term. It's going to set you up for success because you're going to know how to do this. So if you go with a company that's trying to sell you a certain pill, which please don't ever do, because chances are that pill isn't really going to work, and then you don't want to be dependent on that for the rest of your life. Same thing if people are trying to sell a lot of meal replacements. You really want to utilize your own tools and try to learn how to do it for yourself, because then you're going to maintain that over time. You're going to see those long-term results. You'll be able to keep the weight off because you know what to do. You're not depending on something else to do it for you. I know that it can be really appealing to have something promise to do everything for you, because again, people don't like to hear this, but dieting is not fun. It is hard. The thing with this is that nutrition is honestly 90, if not 95% of this. You can work out all day long, do all of it, but if your nutrition is not dialed in, you're not going to see those results that you are looking for. There's a saying, you can't outtrain a bad diet, and it is 100% true. I'm a runner. I love to run. I know that I could run every single day several miles, but if I am not properly fueling my body, I'm not going to see those benefits. So nutrition really is the key component with it. So if you can find something that works for you, that teaches you what to do, then you can definitely set yourself up for long-term successful results. And then also kind of playing on that, there's not a one-size-fits-all plan for everybody. So if it's something that's really cookie cutter, I warn people, because you may not see the same results that someone else saw on this program. You can definitely take recommendations of friends or families or, people that got good results with something. I'm not saying you shouldn't take that into account, but you just want to make sure that it's something that can kind of be individualized to you as well. Like I said, cookie cutters usually to me is a red flag, because everyone's going to respond to something differently. And that can also be the other frustrating thing about dieting, is if people are going based off of somebody else's results, but then they don't see that, they might think it's something wrong with them, but the truth might be that that plan just doesn't realistically fit well for their lifestyle. So there's a lot of different factors that you need to take into account. but you don't want to go strictly based off of someone else's results because you may not see that as well. And then I just kind of want to talk a little bit about just general rules of thumb when it comes to nutrition, and this can be both applied with dieting and outside of dieting. So I kind of touched on the meal prepping. That's something that I think is really important to help keep people on track. Sorry, I can't really talk right now. And then another thing that I recommend is if people can break up into smaller meals throughout the day. The reason for that is just that, for me, I know that if I go several hours without eating, I am more likely to eat a bigger portion size than if I kind of ate throughout the day. My family says it's because I get hangry. They tease me. Growing up, my dad was always like, if you ever got in a bad mood, I just gave you food and it fixed it. 20 years later, it's still true. So for me, I know, and that plays into just like your blood sugar, your metabolism, all of that, just keeping that stable throughout the day. But really and truly, I think that helps people learn about portion sizes as well, and listening to your body and your hunger cues and making sure that you're eating an amount that works well for your body and that you're not overeating just because you haven't eaten for several hours. So something that I'll do, I'll usually have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then 2 small snacks throughout the day. So I probably eat about 5 meals a day. I know some people that do 6. You can definitely play around, but I just try to tell people if you can eat every 3 to 4 hours. I know that's not feasible with everyone's schedules, but just the goal is to kind of break it up throughout the day into smaller portion sizes so that you can learn a little bit more about what a good portion size looks. It'll help you with more balanced meals. I personally don't track my food. I used to, which was a really helpful tool because I learned more about the breakdown of protein, fats, and carbs, your macros there. So another reason I tell people that if you eat smaller meals throughout the day, you can kind of keep track where you're like, okay, even if you don't track, you can be like, well, I don't think I've eaten a lot of protein so far, so maybe I'll incorporate that more in like the next couple meals. So you can really kind of mentally keep track of if you need to add something more or less into your diet throughout the day. And then I just kind of touched on the protein, carbs, and fats. So those are your 3 macronutrients. And so when people talk about a balanced diet, that's usually what they're referring to, is those 3 macros, because there are certain percentages that you want to aim for throughout the day. The first thing is carbs are not the enemy. I don't know when they had a meeting and decided that carbs were awful, because the truth is your body runs on carbs. That is your body's first choice for fuel. So your carbs actually should take up between about 45 to 65% of your daily intake. And that may vary for people. If you're in a dieting phase, you might be closer to that 45%. I know that sounds a lot higher than people think because, like I said, it's low carb seems to be the fad right now. Carbs are the enemy, but really and truly, you want to aim for at least probably close to half your daily intake should be consisted of carbs. Your fats can be between 20 to 35%, and then your protein can be anywhere from 10 to 35%. So again, those may change based off what the other 2 macros that you have, but all in all, if you follow those daily percentage guidelines, that's going to give you a nice balanced intake for the day. And then with protein, so again, I think a lot of times carbs become the enemy, and then so protein is the good guy. So sometimes, a lot of cases, I'll see people eating way too low of carbs and way too high of protein. And protein definitely has its place, especially if you are dieting or strength training. That's going to help retain muscle mass. But in a lot of cases, sometimes people might be eating way too much protein or way little protein. So general rule of thumb, each meal, if you can aim for about 15 to 20 grams of protein per meal, that's going to kind of give you a good balance. Again, that may vary based on your goals. Definitely between men and women, there are different amounts, but just kind of ballpark anywhere between 15 to 20 grams per meal. That's going to kind of give you a good amount for the day. And then your fats, you can definitely kind of, again, distribute out throughout the day. If that's your 20 to 35%. Some people find that they might like a little bit higher percent, so they might be closer to that 35%. Everyone's body is going to be a little different. So again, play around with them and see how your body responds to that. But a lot of times, like I said, protein can be overutilized or underutilized, and then the resulting thing with that is carbs are either underutilized or overutilized as well. So just trying to stick to those percentages can give you a really good balanced meal for the day. And then just overall, I follow something called the 80-20 rule. And what this means is 80% of the time you are on track with your nutrition. For me, during the week, Monday through Friday, I pretty much kind of stick to the same meals. A lot of that for me is just out of habit. If I've meal prepped the same thing for the week, helps keep me on track. And then I just know what foods that I like, what foods work well for me, what I digest well. So for the most part, my diet really doesn't change throughout the week. And then that 20% is just kind of your life food. That's if you're just enjoying dinner with friends, or, pizza night with your family, it's someone's birthday and you have some cake and ice cream. You go out for a happy hour and you have a drink and some appetizers, like just enjoying your life. So that's why I just call it the life food. It's not an exact math. You don't have to count up everything where it's like 80% or 20%. But the reason that I kind of stress that is, if you go out and you have a meal that's more than usual, as long as you get back on track with your usual routine, it's not going to completely wreck your goals. Back to that lifestyle change. Again, I know it sounds like such a cliche, but if you can keep up with this over long term, if my example, I'm a runner, so I know that keeps me active. I know that I love to do it, and I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I possibly can. And then when it comes to nutrition, like I said, I know what foods work well for me, what I enjoy, what helps fuel me for my runs. And then anything else that kind of comes up with friends or family, don't stress over it. Try not to be guilty about it, but just enjoy that time with them, and then just move on. Get back to your usual routine. At the end of our life, we're not going to be looking back and analyzing every time that we had a food that we thought we shouldn't have. You're going to be thinking about those memories. So, people, we're social. A lot of our gatherings are, around food. So try not to feel guilty about it, but just if you can get back to your usual routine, the next day, you're going to be set. Again, we're looking for just those long-term maintainable habits that you can just keep up with over the course of your life. And then one last thing that I just kind of want to address, you don't really need to restrict or cut out a certain food unless you have a food allergy. Obviously, if you have an allergy, or just that food doesn't sit well with you. My sister, she has a lot of digestive problems, so it may not be a strict allergy, but if there's certain things that you need to stay away from, obviously do that. But there's not anything that needs to be labeled as, a good food or a bad food. And the reason that I say that too is because if you cut something out entirely, if you label something as bad, you're gonna want that food more. You don't wanna restrict yourself entirely from something. But again, kind of with that 80-20 rule, so I love ice cream. Ice cream is my weakness. If I avoided ice cream at all costs, it would just make me want ice cream even more. Instead, I just allow myself to have it every now and then. I don't have it every day, but if I feel like a bowl of ice cream, then I'll just indulge in that, because I know that over time that bowl isn't going to wreck my goals. I know that I'll keep up with my running and I'll go back to my usual foods. So again, you don't want to restrict something completely out, label it as a bad food and kind of cut that out, because psychologically you're just going to want that food more, and that could potentially create a negative association with that food. You don't want to feel super guilty over eating something or beat yourself up over it, but just like I said, get back to your usual routine, and then it'll work itself out over time. And then the last thing that I just kind of wanted to talk about, because a lot of people will ask when they're first getting into a fitness routine or they're trying to, people always ask about motivation. And this is something that goes for both inside and outside of quarantine. A lot of people think that there's some big secret to motivation. Let me tell you, there really isn't. If you are waiting for the day that you wake up and every single day you are ready to go, you are motivated, you want to crush all of your goals, and it's like that every single day for like the rest of your life, that will probably never happen. And if it is, please reach out to me because I also have more questions. Because there are definitely days where the last thing that I feel like doing is going for a run or working out. And so the first thing that I tell people is there's a difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation, definitely, like it comes and goes. Like there are days where I feel really motivated. There are weeks where I feel really into my runs and my goals and I'm getting there and I'm seeing a lot of progress, and that is motivating. But then there are just some weeks where it's harder. And, if I wake up and it's cold and rainy and dark, I don't want to go for that run. I just want to stay in my bed and snuggle with my dog. But the truth is, discipline is what's going to get you to your goals. Motivation might get you jump started. It might, pick your goal for you. But discipline is going to be all of those little steps adding up to that goal. And then, so what I tell people, the discipline comes into play if you remember your why. So you can set a goal for yourself, that's great. But if it doesn't mean anything to you, then you're not going to want to commit to it. You're not going to be disciplined to get there. When I set myself a new PR for a race, if there's a specific time that I want to get, I know how to get there. But that's discipline that's going to keep me there. I want that time because I love the challenge. I love to see what I'm capable of doing. And I enjoy that. I thrive off of that competition with myself. And that's not always my why. It definitely, there's more layers to it. But when you set that goal for yourself, you really want to dissect it and say to yourself, is this just kind of a surface level thing? Am I doing this for myself? Am I doing it for somebody else? Because you want it to be for yourself. That's going to be your intrinsic motivation. That's going to keep you going. That's going to keep you disciplined. So you really want to remember your why. And it may evolve over time. I know mine has definitely changed over time, and that's perfectly okay. It's not bad if it evolves into something else, especially since, once you set those goals and you achieve those, they may, transform into something else. But you always want to remember why you are doing that. Because like I said, that's going to create that motivation and that discipline. Because like I said, when it's the last thing I feel like doing is getting up for that run, I know that, hey, I have this goal set for myself. I have this time. I know that each of those little runs are going to add up over time and going to get me to that goal. So that is where discipline comes into play, because motivation, it comes and goes. It can really vary. And again, there's no real reason for that. It's human nature. So if there is a week where you're lacking in motivation, there is nothing wrong. It's just one of those harder weeks. But if you remember your why and your discipline and why you set that goal, that's what's going to get you there over the course of time. And ideally, it's something that you love to do as well. And that's definitely going to come into play with it. And with that being said, guilt should never be a motivational tool. And the reason that I say that is kind of with the labeling of food as something bad, you are going to create a negative association with that thing. That could be, you feel like you need to do this workout because you ate that, or maybe you didn't work out the day before. Again, there are times where maybe I don't get that run done, but same thing, you just want to move on from it. You don't need to make yourself feel guilty. I don't tell myself the next time I have to run, well, you didn't run on Monday, so you better get this one done. Really try not to use guilt as a motivational tool. You want to make sure that you're doing something because you enjoy that you're doing it. That it's working you towards that goal, and that's exciting, and you love to see that progress and challenging yourself. Try to create positive associations with it. allowing guilt to come into play. And I know it's definitely a hard habit to break, just with, I think, how sometimes the industry goes with health and fitness. You know, we feel guilty if we skipped a workout or ate something that we shouldn't. But the truth is, we want to try to break that, because you don't want to create that negative association. I go for my runs because I love to do it, not because I skipped one the day before. Again, so if you don't work out or you ate something that you felt like you shouldn't have, just get back to your usual routine. The next day is a new day. What happened the day before really shouldn't affect anything, but just try to work towards your goals, regardless of, you know, if the workout the day before didn't go that well or you just didn't get to it. But just trying to get back to that same routine and just keeping up with it over time is really and truly what's going to set you up with success long term, get you those long term results that you were looking for, and just really keep you healthy and maintainable over time. So that is everything that I have for you guys today. Again, if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to talk more about this with you. And as always, we are trying to put up as many different videos as we can for you guys, so stay tuned for more from us.